Hello friends and welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time with us, my name's Elena and today we are making the Bratz because I'm predictable and I keep seeing videos of people doing Bratz makeup on like Twitter and stuff, and I think it's really fun and cool and nostalgic, but obviously I can't do makeup. I can do Sims though. So I'm making the original four, like the OG classic. I think it's Sasha, Jade, Chloe, and Yasmin. I never played with Bratz, to be honest. My mom barely let me have Barbies. Like she's one of those moms that was kind of conscious of like, it's a little bit weird that I'm letting my daughter play with this like super hyper feminized, idealized version of like being a lady. And so Bratz for her were like 100% no. Partially because they were named Bratz, partially because they are like a weirdly sexualized doll for like little kids to play with. Like, I feel like it's very much a product of the era that those were the toys that we were all very into. Were like girls who were obsessed with fashion and all had like these weird little body types, and just yeah, it was a lot. But I do still find it kind of like fun and nostalgic that Bratz are kind of having like a revival, not in the toys themselves, but just kind of in all of us remembering them. But yeah, I still remember like this was probably what started me on the path towards being one of those girls that like you can't have fun watching a movie with me because I'll always talk about what's problematic. But I found an essay that my sister wrote. I think this was for I think I was 8, so she must have been 13, and she had written this essay for one of her classes about how Bratz were like basically teaching young girls that they had to be sexualized like at a super early age. Like they were like Bratz underwear that were like thongs basically for kids, which like it was, yeah, I mean, it's true, like that was a real product, but yeah, so I remember I have a very distinct memory of reading that on the computer in my basement and being like, oh my word, you're so, of course I said oh my word, not oh my god, because I was a Christian. Like, you're so right, that is so messed up. So thanks, Abby. But yeah, I did, again, I have fun making like cartoon things into Sims just because like you have a little bit more freedom. It's kind of more fun to play with proportions and stuff like that. So for all of them, obviously, in keeping with the classic Bratz, like the way that Bratz always are, they have a tiny, tiny nose, enormous eyes, and huge lips. Like just like super big, just up and down lips. It's so weird. What a weird time. But yeah, so they're all they all look like that. Like they all I tried to use a different nose, eyes, and mouth for all of them. Because I'm pretty sure the dolls actually were just like 100% just the same mold with like different plastic colors. Like I feel pretty sure that they never designed like separate face molds for any of them, but I wanted them to each look like different. And Jade, I know, so I mean the one thing that I really feel that Bratz did well was that right out of the gate it was like not all white girls, you know, like Sasha is black, Jade is Japanese, I think, and Yasmin is there's actually conflicting reports on this. She's supposed to be Mexican initially, but then also later Iranian, because Yasmin's like the Iranian way to spell Jasmine. I don't know, but anyway, so they started out like they were very much ahead of Barbie in that sense, where like the core girls were not white, you know. I mean, they had like the one blonde girl, but so that was good. That was a good thing, but also like, I mean, like looking at them making them, that's like it just like everything about their faces and bodies is so weird. The noses, the totally non-existent noses, always drives me up a wall. Like there are two acceptable facial features to have as a woman. You can have eyes and you can have a mouth, and that is it. No nose. Like, yeah. And they did all have like the 90s brows. Because yeah, they were released in like I think 2001 was the initial Bratz release. I based these off of the very first, like I found the first ever TV ad for Bratz, and I based these off of those girls because I know like as time went on and they were creating Bratz, you know, like endless lines and lines of Bratz, the girls would stay, you know, they'd have the same names and they'd like theoretically be the same, but they would change like their hair color and their eye color and whatever, to the point where like I truly could not decide what some of their eye colors were supposed to be. So with the first, I kind of went with what the first run looked like, But I did give, I gave Sasha green eyes, like hazel eyes, because a lot of the Sasha dolls have hazel eyes. And then I gave Jade like gray eyes, because a lot of the Jade dolls had gray eyes. But yeah, so it was this weird thing of like, they were diverse, but they also were very, very like whitewashed versions of being like a black girl. You know, they had like, I saw 1 or 2 Sasha dolls where she actually had curly hair, which like, it was the 2000s, so it kind of makes sense, because at that time, like, the look was extremely straightened, like very, very straightened hair, and then you could like scrunch it up with like gel, and those are like the 2 acceptable looks. So it makes sense style-wise with the time, but it was very much like, you know, she's got brown skin, but she has like perfectly straight hair and like green eyes, you know, like we have to make it. It reminds me of the Zendaya did a panel, I think, on it was just like a panel at a kind of like an event for women in media, I believe, where she was talking about how like she was like the American media's acceptable version of a black girl, and that was like terrible, because she's like, you know, she's mixed race, she's very like light skinned, all those kind of things, and she was saying that it's like fucked up that is the version that people want to see of black womanhood, and like the only version. But yeah, so it was yeah. I mean, like, I know it's not that deep, but it kind of is, because these are like the toys that kids play with growing up, and like they want to be and they see themselves in and that kind of thing. But anyways, so Sasha, I tried to give her like mostly curly hairstyles, but like I think I'll include like pictures of the outfits that I'm trying to emulate. Because that, you know, that's like the Bratz thing. It was like passion for fashion. Everything has to be like peak 2000s iconic like looks. So I did have specific outfits that I based almost all of these off of. So I'll like put those on screen, I think, when I'm actually doing the outfits. But yeah, so I kind of based her hair off of like what those different outfits looked like, but I still just, yeah, I felt so weird about it, you know? But yeah, so Bratz dolls, man. But yeah, so Sasha, like I said, I never played with Bratz dolls as a kid, so I was like on the fan wiki, like making sure that all the like traits and stuff were like accurate enough. So I read somewhere that Sasha was like the leader of the gang initially, and that she's supposed to be really into music, I think. So I gave her the leader of the pack like aspiration, and then like the insider trait, because it said like she knows all the best spots, and then ambitious and self-assured. And like looking back, I probably should have given her creative or something like that, because she wants to be a musician, but it's fine. It was also, you could definitely tell it was the 2000s, because sorry, the cats are running around like absolute batshit. You can also tell it was the 2000s because their aspirations were like, I like to draw, I like to sing, I like fashion. Like those are like the 3, you know, like how on Disney Channel every single girl like that headlines their shows is supposed to want to be a singer. But yeah. So I had a lot of fun making this. It sounds like I didn't, but I really did. I had a great time. But it kind of like, yeah, it reminded me of that era where, like, looking back on the 2000s, I really cannot think of, like, any examples that I ever saw of natural, like, textured hair being cool or pretty. You know, it was always, like, the Aaliyah bangs that were, like, extremely straightened, or everybody had, like, the long, like, okay, Raven Simone 100% did the Ariana ponytail before Ariana Grande, like, ever even peeked her head out of the womb. Like, but those are like the hairstyles that you were supposed to have if you were a black girl. And it's like very, you know, now obviously we're not perfect, but we have a little bit more positivity towards like natural hair textures, and we have like a lot more, you know, products. And part of that is a function of like the market realizing that like, oh, African Americans they're like a valuable segment of the market, which isn't like the best way for things to get done, but it does mean that things are getting done in terms of like black hair care products being available like anywhere that hair products are and stuff like that. Whereas back in the 2000s, it was like, okay, so you either get your hair chemically straightened or you're ugly. Like that, I didn't grow up around a lot of black kids because my hometown was not very diverse that way. But like that was kind of the idea, right? Back in the day was like chemically straighten your hair or otherwise we don't care. And it's just like a very, I don't know, I think it was kind of gross. Like, yeah, I remember watching the documentary. I want to say it was Eddie Murphy, maybe, who made this documentary. It was a black comic, I believe, who made a documentary for his daughters called Good Hair, because his daughters were like, why don't I have good hair? And to them, good hair was like straight hair, you know, like very Eurocentric ideals of hair. So it was, yeah, that I have a lot of thoughts about it. But I did like that they made Sasha the, you know, like right away when the dolls came out, she was the one who's like, I'm the leader, I'm in charge. I know, you know, I'm very like sure of myself and what I'm doing. But yeah, so I had a lot of fun making these. But I also had some fun reflection, because I have a creative writing degree, so everything has to be that deep with me. One funny thing was that, you know, this is the 2000s, so nobody wore high-waisted pants, right? It was all like you show your belly button because hopefully you have a flat stomach that doesn't exist, or otherwise, you know, like what's the point of wearing clothes if you don't have a perfectly flat stomach? But because of the way that the dolls are built with their like tiny, tiny little waists, all the pants like naturally ride up to their like natural waistlines instead of their hips, and it's hilarious. But yeah, so okay, so for the cold weather outfits, I found a picture of like a fall collection from back in the day that was, I think Sophia Nygaard dressed up as one of the dolls from that fall collection, because she did a video of like, I dressed as a Bratz for a week or whatever, because she's always just on top of everything. But so in that video, she did an outfit from this fall collection. So that's what I based their cold weather outfits off of. I just tried to find a bunch of photos of like all four of these specific four dolls like all together, so that I could, you know, make sure I was doing like sets of things. So for their everyday outfit, they're wearing so in the first ever Bratz like TV spot, when Bratz dolls were first released with these four dolls, they came with like the ad shows two different outfits for each of them. So one of them is like a more like, you know, kind of like I would wear this to school in 2002 kind of thing, like the jeans and all that kind of stuff. And then so that's their like everyday outfit, because it's very like classic Bratz doll. And then for their formal outfit, they're wearing it looks like it was from the very first, because it's called like Bratz Passion for Fashion was like the name of those dolls. And so it looks kind of like there was like a third outfit involved in that. And I found a couple of pictures of like people who had collected all four of those dolls online, and they're all the same, like a tank top, like a sparkly tank top and some sparkly jewelry and like long straight hair, and then bell bottoms, because, you know, of course they were wearing bell bottoms. It was 2002. So that was what I based all their formal outfits off of, which means like you definitely couldn't wear it to work, but it's like, I don't know. I liked to make them in matching sets. Plus it means if they ever go to an event that has a particular dress code, they're all going to match and it's going to be cute. I do really like that I got to use a lot of the bell bottoms, because you don't get to use those ever in The Sims. Yeah, I had the same thing with Jade that I did with Sasha, because Jade, like, from what I read online, is supposed to be Asian American, right? And so that means, like, that basically doesn't do anything. Like, it doesn't make her look any different. She still has the exact same face mold as the other dolls. Like, it just doesn't. So I gave her, like, monolith eyes with, like, in The Sims, but they're very, like, all her features are still very... They look exactly like Chloe's, you know, like the white girl. So it was weird because, you know, and then like in later collections, they give her gray eyes and silver eyes and whatever. And to me, it's very much based on the idea of like, you know, okay, so there's a trope in many forms of media where it's like the Asian girl with very brightly colored dyed hair, because there's this like pervasive idea that like looking Asian isn't interesting enough. You know, like you just have like dark hair and dark eyes. So like that's boring. And so there's this very, like, it's a Eurocentric thing, you know, to be like, well, if you don't have, like, light hair or light eyes, like, what's the point? What's your whole look based on? So you have to have, like, a crazy hair color. So I did give her the gray eyes because I saw, like, all the pictures I could find of her face up close where, like, she had the gray eyes. and it to me like seemed like part of the signature Jade thing, but it did kind of bother me because they started her out with dark brown eyes. Like in the very first like release, she had dark brown eyes, and then I guess they decided like no. But yeah, so she's cute though. I got to play with just a lot of like clothing items that I never put on my Sims ever. And they all do look, because I had all those like reference photos, they all look like very 2000s looks to me. Like this isn't the exact right hat for the outfit that she has, but it's like you put that hat on and you're like, ah, yes, you're listening to the very first Panic at the Disco album, you know, and you're like having feelings about it. But yeah, so I did, yeah, I've had the same kind of like, we had like beauty standards are not great, thing with Jade. But yes, okay, so I've based their formal and their everyday outfits very specifically off of outfits that the dolls have had in the past. The athletic outfit, I had a photo of all of them like wearing, I think it's from like the TV show or something, where they all have like, you know, kind of athletic-ish vibes, like not actually athletic, but like kind of close. So I for the athletic clothing, I like took inspiration from like the colors that they're wearing in those and like the hairstyles that they have. So some of them wear hoop earrings with their athletic outfits, but it's fine. So yeah, and then with pajamas, I just kind of gave them pajamas. But for the party outfits, they're based off of a very specific and hysterical, and this is the only picture that I could find of Jade having curly hair, actually. Or not Jade having curly hair, of Sasha having curly hair. So they're all based off of, I don't know what collection it was, but I found it online. And they're just wearing these amazing, like, going out in 2003 outfits. So I based those off of that. And then swimming, I just kind of did whatever. And then hot weather is also from the original, like, the very first ever TV spot for Bratz. You know, because they had the two outfits. So one is their everyday outfit and the other is their hot weather outfit. Because that was kind of the only, like, summer clothes I could find for them. And then the cold weather is their like fall outfit, which ended up being kind of hilarious with Yasmin, because Yasmin's like fall outfit was like a mini skirt and like a little like one of those shirts that ties in the front, you know, like that 70s kind of style. And obviously that's not like, you can't wear that outside. So I made some changes there, but yeah, so yeah, now we're on to the very Nordic one. She's supposed to have like Icelandic blood, which I think is hilarious. I don't know why they spelled Chloe without an H, but they did. For her, okay, this was a different thing. So on Jade's, because I went on the Bratz fan wiki page, because obviously I did, because I'm doing my research. And on there, they had like very little information about Jade's like personality or whatever. All of the rest of them had like a pretty good amount of detail about their personality, and then Jade like just nothing. So I think I gave her like the famous trait, because that just seems kind of like Bratz-y, and then I think I made her artsy, like a snob maybe, I don't know, because it said that she's very like, she has great taste, like she's very up on what's trending, but she also will like set the trends. So I don't know, I figure if you have her in the game, you probably make her like a stylist or something. And then Chloe, it said that she really likes art, because that's the other aspiration that you can have as a girl, is like I'm artsy. And then athletic and romantic and clumsy, because those are things that her page listed as some of her traits. So for Chloe and Yasmin, I had a little bit harder time making them look like my 2000s dreams. I think because when I'm doing big households like this where they all kind of dress similarly, I always want them to all be wearing different things all the time. Like I hate reusing items. But for them, obviously, like there's a very limited number of like bell-bottom jeans in this game and all that stuff. So yeah, that's the other thing. Chloe had dark eyebrows, which is kind of hilarious to me, because that's such a big thing now, is to have like the blonde hair with the dark eyebrows. But there definitely was a time where if your eyebrows were dark, then everybody knew that you dyed your hair, so that was like bad. And I kind of wonder when the turning point was. But Chloe is very much like a front page sim, you know what I'm saying? Like she's one of those. So she was kind of fun to make, but also I felt like I was making a sim that I'd seen a million times. But yeah, I had a hard time finding some of the right clothing for both her and Yasmin, because I think Yasmin's like signature thing is purple very much, and Chloe wears a lot of like Chloe's got a lot of like light greens and stuff, which are, oh my god. Okay, so the cat's being a nutball. She has somehow climbed up between my blinds and my window, and she's perched on my blinds and my windowsill like 4 feet in the air, just watching something happen outside. I don't know. Anyway, so Chloe, I don't know, she's like, of course she was one, because both of the, when I was looking online, it said that Chloe and Yasmin are the ones that are in like every single collection ever. Like sometimes Sasha's not included, sometimes Jade's not included, but Chloe and Yasmin are always there all the time, which is kind of interesting. Like, I wonder what, because like Chloe, obviously people always like privilege like the blonde, blue-eyed one, you know, like that's like such a toy manufacturer thing to be like, that's going to be our like baseline. That's the most popular one, and we're just going to assume that it will be. But then Yasmin, I'm like wondering what the kind of impetus behind her popularity was, because like you're very much used to like the blonde girl being the standard one, like it is with Barbie, but then like what made Yasmin the second most popular one, because she's the one who's like Latina but also maybe Middle Eastern, and so I'm wondering like what the market segments were and stuff like that. But I will say that I had a lot of fun being able to use these hats. I got to use so many hats that I never ever touch. And those really just put it's like the cherry on top of it being the 2000s, which is kind of hilarious because this game came out in 2014, right? So all the base game items are styled like it's 2014, but some of them are so like dated. So those hats, I didn't know anybody who was wearing a hat like that in 2014. Did you? I guess, okay. How old was I? 22. So I would have been 17. So this was like my senior year of high school. This was like, I don't even know what happened in my senior year of high school. I kind of like blocked all that out of my memory. It's fine. But it, like, nobody was wearing that. No, it just wasn't, like, this was when Zendaya was transitioning out of being a Disney Channel kid. This was when, God, what else was happening? This is 2 years before the presidential election. What was the pop culture? I think maybe The Winter Soldier came out that year. I don't know, but anyway, so it wasn't like a Newsboy Cap time, and yet The Sims still gave us a Newsboy Cap, and I think it's because they knew that I would want to make the Bratz in The Sims. So thank you so much, Maxis, for providing for my needs. But yeah, I was laughing at myself, like every hairstyle I gave her, I can think of an exact front page Sim that has that hairstyle. But yeah, so I really, I felt like some of the Chloe clothing, I didn't feel as great about her outfits. They just weren't they didn't give me that feeling of like aggressive 2000s, you know, but it was still fun. One of the things that I kept seeing that was hysterical was just these giant skirts, like large skirts. So yeah, with Chloe's cold outfit, it doesn't look very 2000s at all. It just kind of looks like odd. But yeah, so Yasmin, this is something that I learned. Yasmin's hair color has changed a lot and her eye color has changed a lot, but you always know it's Yasmin because of the beauty mark, which I kind of love, you know, like how much positivity was there for having like moles or freckles or whatever at the time. So that's fun. I mean, admittedly, it is like a very, you know, aesthetic, like kind of like a Marilyn Monroe thing. Obviously in a different place, but still. But I did, you know, that was like a fun aspect of this. And also, Yasmin was named after one of the creators of the doll's kids. Her name was Jasmine. So that's fun. And I will say that Yasmin, because I have a weird habit of making alphabetical lists of things. I don't know. It's like what I do when I'm bored in class. And God bless Yasmin for making this name popular in the 2000s so that I have something to put in for Y every time that's not just Yvonne. Anyway, but yeah, so she's got like just a lot of fun. This is definitely an outfit that Sophia Nygaard wore in her like dressing like a Bratz video. Like she wore this like purple with the white high tops and the white high-waisted pants and stuff. There is like a headscarf that there's just really no equivalent for in The Sims, but it's fine. But yeah, so Yasmin is the one that I think the kind of vaguely, you know, the ethnically ambiguous tampon commercial woman, you know what I'm saying? Like, where it's like, she could be anybody, but she also looks pretty white. like the Kardashian thing where it's like, we're white, but also we're gonna like pick, you know, we're gonna like select aspects of the aesthetics and like the traditions of like people of color. I'm not mad about it. The Kardashians. But yeah, so to me, Yasmin is the one who has the most like the most current look. Like every time, you know, I would dress her very like corny in 2000s, but she still kind of looks like what our standard is today for being like a hottie McBody. So that was kind of fun. But yeah, so I really, oh yeah, I gave her the she has the musician trait, I believe, like or the musician aspiration. She's the one who's like, I want to be famous. I want to be a star. But she's also like shy and like social justice-y, which is kind of dope. Like they had a social justice-y one. Like that's great. But yeah, so yeah, she's like creative and a snob and good, I think. The good was from the social justice thing. But yeah, so this is one of the funny ones where based on the picture, she was wearing like very much orange metallic lipstick. I did get to use a lot of like makeup options that I never touch ever. So that was fun. But the pajamas I always felt kind of, because, okay, I know that the Bratz are kids' toys, right? They're toys for like kids between probably 8 and 12 or something like that. But they also are supposed to be in their 20s. And so there's this amount of like, they're inherently kind of designed in a sexy way. Like they're inherently like very sexualized dolls, but they're also for kids. So like, what were they doing? You know, what was their game plan there? All I can say is that I'm thankful I wasn't on the internet during the like height of the Bratz popularity, because oh my God, I cannot even imagine like the nastiness of, you know, like, okay, men can take My Little Pony and make it a sex thing. So I don't even want to know what they did with the Bratz. But yeah, so like with their pajamas and everything, I was like, I bet they had like a sleepover set at some point, and I bet it was like stupid. Like I bet it was a full outfit and they had full makeup on and stuff. And I know that they're dolls, so the makeup is painted on there, but you know what I'm saying? Like it just seems like they would have had like full like giant like sleepover hoops and stuff like that. I don't know. Anyways, so Yasmin, I had trouble with making her party outfit look the way that it does in the picture. And so I ended up kind of going with something that looked more 2000s and less like photo accurate, but it's fine. Honestly, I could not have done this without the Get Famous pack. I can't even imagine trying to do this without the Get Famous pack. So thank you, Get Famous. But yeah, have I told you guys that I didn't realize that there were lip glosses in The Sims? Like I had no idea what that one, you know how there's like the kind of matte, like full lipstick swatch of all the lip colors. And then there's the one that's a little bit more glossy and less opaque. And then there's one that's basically like a tinted lip gloss. When I was playing on low medium mode, I think it's either like low medium graphics or just laptop mode. It doesn't show you like lip gloss. So I had no idea what the difference between all those things were. And I just kind of picked them randomly. And the first day that I switched my graphics up to medium or even like medium high and realized that there was lip gloss, I lost my fucking mind. I was like, holy shit, this is amazing. How have I not known about this? But yeah, so that's the story of having a laptop and trying to play The Sims. But yeah, so this is like, Yasmin, I felt like I kept wanting to make her outfits like cute by today's standards instead of like trying to match them to the photos, because it was kind of easier with her. I don't know. But also there's no purple. There's no fucking purple in The Sims 4, which is very annoying. Like no, there's no good purple options for anything ever. Yasmin's outfits, I was kind of this was very late and I wanted to go to bed. So I was kind of rushing through those. But this is the hilarious, like her fall outfit being a mini skirt, like a little crop top. So I kind of just gave her random shit. Like I gave her the little mini skirt for her cold outfit, which is ridiculous, but it happens. And then I gave her like, yeah, the sweater. I don't know what, I wanted to be accurate to the pictures because those helped me make them look more Bratzy, but it didn't work. Wow, okay, didn't realize that we were already at screenshots, but here's some bad screenshots. Thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate you. I hope you appreciate you, and I will see you all next time.